because to me, sex just has too much meaning. As a society, we've given it, because it should hold meaning. It should hold meaning between the people in the room, the people that are doing it.
Welcome to Curious Chats and Kind Acts, the podcast that celebrates difference, kindness, and the little things we can all do to make our world a better place. Join me, your host, Sonia, co-founder of the Axe charity, for some open, authentic and fun conversations with lots of interesting, extraordinary, everyday people who are all a little bit different. Prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your heart warmed as we explore the ways we can all make a difference in the world, no matter how small. So get ready to be inspired, uplifted and motivated to be the kindest version of yourself. Let's make the world a kinder place, one conversation at a time.
Welcome, welcome. How are you today? Happy Pride Month. And because it's Pride Month, we have another cheeky episode for you. A person called Archie. And I say a person because Archie is gender fluid. And if you want to know what this is, you're going to have to listen. We chat about them growing up as gay in a private school in posh England, which by all accounts seemed a bit tricky. But then Archie hit Brighton, and what an episode it became. I think Archie's world is so far apart from mine, and I was absolutely fascinated. I do need to say we cover sexual content, rape, and some pretty tricky topics. So I'm really not quite sure how we laughed quite as much as we did. Maybe it was our special guest host's one-liners. I proper loved this episode though, and a massive thanks to Archie and Jonah for giving up their time on a sunny morning in Brighton with pretty bad hangovers. I really hope you enjoy it. Let your minds be blown.
I'm currently studying journalism at Brighton Uni. I'm originally from a little town near Slough. What do you want? What background do you want?
That'll do for now. That'll do, yeah.
Awesome.
We'll get into it. And who are you?
Jonah, producer, editor of the podcast, Archie's friend.
There we go. Well, where people want to start, so growing up, kind of, I know you didn't, school.
Yeah, so, grew up always around like the same little area. It's Beaconsfield and Gerrards Cross. They're like the London commuter towns. So I always describe them as lots of Range Rover cars, Range Rover houses and Range Rover people. Very conservative. Everyone who's there has like worked in the city for about 40 years before they get to live there. So it's just a very specific kind of Tory voter. Yeah.
Are you posh?
Yeah, I am. The louder I get, the more posh I get.
Or the more drunk.
Yeah.
You become like a wine mob after a couple
I move
pints.
closer to Buckingham Palace as I get louder. So I went to school. Primary school was a little place, but foreshadowing. It was called Gayhurst. Love that. That was... I don't remember much about that, to be honest. And then... Secondary school, I went to a place called Reading Bluecoat School. I wouldn't describe it as a Christian school because it's not that extreme, but it was great. Like a great school, great teachers, lots of great stuff. But in the uniform policy, for example, they'd say girls don't embarrass yourselves when talking about skirt length. So it was that kind of vibe, not very flamboyant, very few jazz hands.
Yeah.
So when you're at school then, and it's a Christian school, did you feel you fitted in there?
I didn't do like too badly. There were definitely people who fit in less than me. I think I've always forced myself to be quite outgoing. So even there weren't many people, but the ones that were had a pretty mixed response to like me being gay and flamboyant. I'd come in a skirt in sixth and stuff like that. Even then, there wasn't anything that extreme because...
So... When did you decide you were gay?
Decide? You're gay. And the fact you asked it was mental.
You've still got to make a decision, I think.
No, I think it's when did you come out. Surely you always knew you were gay.
I think it's when you learn the word for it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a good example is that, like, you hear gay as an insult before as a sexuality. So, like, you hear it and I'm like, whoa, I don't know what that is, but I don't want to be that. And then, like, years later, I kind of actually Googled the word and was like, oh,
That's me.
dude,
Yeah.
who knew?
So how old are you when you come out then?
When I came
Don't
out.
decide, but
Well,
come out.
hang on. How old were you when you first in your head went, oh, I think I'm gay?
So there's like
And then when did you come out?
There's like 3 moments. My mum decided I was gay when I was 4.
Yeah.
I kid you not. Apparently she said she looked at me one day and just turned to my dad and went, "He's gonna be gay." And my dad went, "You can't tell that early." My mum wouldn't trust me.
Yeah.
And then I was the summer holidays between year 9 and 10 that I came out as bi because that seemed less scary, and then kind of over the next kind of until like year 12 maybe, I just kind of slowly went about correcting that. I didn't actually update my parents that I was gay until I was in year 13, and that's also when I told them that I'm non-binary as well. I did that. Every coming out I've done to my parents has been over text. I'm like, right, send it, and then I just throw the phone in a river and get really drunk at someone else's house.
And why is that? If your mum already knew when you were 4, why did you find it hard to tell her?
Well, I think it's just quite a scary thing. And then, if you've gone through, I think it's private schools, I think, because they are like the real Tory voters. And so you kind of grow up with it being a bad thing. And then even if you're at a point where like your parents are accepting, it's been drilled into you enough that it's still
So did you go to a private school?
Yeah.
And is that just because you lived in your posh area that you went
Yeah,
to?
it's why lots of people, to be honest, myself included, think that private schools suck because it is just like a monetary barrier of entry to a good education. Because
so you get a better education.
Because private schools, the parents pay for the tuition, the school gets more money.
And what was it like then? Because surely if everyone there is really privileged.
Yeah, and lots of people like to think that they're not. You'd get lots of people who would like be throwing up like gang signs and like trying to act all like roadman, and they weren't because you're paying a lot of money to be here, and I know where you live, and it's not ends.
Yeah.
It's
Mansion.
Yeah, it's.
Give me a sense of what private schools like. Is it any different to? I mean, you wouldn't.
Yeah, you can tell they expect more of you which is a weird one because your parents have money, so you should be smarter.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, I think, a sense from some of the teachers and stuff that like they want you to be better because you're going there. And I guess also though, given that it costs loads of extra money to go there, if the kids come out really fucking dumb, then the parents would be mad. I do get that once a week from my mum. Can't believe I paid for your education. You just said that. And I'm like asking which end of the earth, Antarctica versus the Arctic. Like,
and was it an all boys or a mix?
So it's actually co-ed now, but it was all boys from year 7 to 11, and then co-ed in years 12 and 13 for sixth form, which was a crazy decision because you've just got a load of privileged white boys there because there's not. It's probably better now, but there wasn't much diversity in my year. So you've got boys that are going from 7 to 11 with like no contact with girls, and then suddenly introduce them. Crazy environment. Crazy environment.
In like the peak of their puberty.
Yeah.
You get shoved in
with... mate, year 11 boys that have been to an all-boys school are evil. They just are. And I like count myself in that because I was like...
Well, and so if it is all boys, how was being gay and navigating that, or did no one really know? Was it like your secret?
I don't know.
But surely if you're gay and you're in an all boys school, surely you've just got a bigger pick.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
But not all of them are gay. It's not an all gay school.
Horny teenage boys.
Oh my god, if it was, I'd have had the time of my life. I think because I came out before girls came in. When girls came in, girls are generally just better people than men. They helped a lot, but there was like this because the boys in like year 9, 10, 11, they go through puberty, and they're kind of like figuring out that like 99% of them like girls, but because they're not really having any experiences with them, it was just a loads of objectification. And then I think the concept of someone being gay, in their brains they instantly thought they were going to be objectified because that's what they were doing, and so it made them a bit uncomfortable. Like there was definitely an atmosphere change in the changing rooms and things like that. It also did not help that the other two people in my year who were, one of them was gay, one of them was bi, they were both horrific people. They were properly awful.
So was high school a good experience then, or?
It was a mixed one, I think. There were some great moments, there were some really lovely people, and I think especially sixth form I really enjoyed it. So I did a lot of work on the school in sixth form. I basically spent sixth form in meetings doing loads of stuff. So I was like, we started a queer society, we started a feminism society. I didn't start that, but I got really involved once it did.
And why was that important to you?
Because there'd been a lot of experiences lower down the school that weren't great. I mean, there was one guy who, once he found out I was gay, that was like, didn't speak to me by my name, just called me slurs. And that was just how I was referred to, and not really much got done about that. Same with the same guy, like, threw a stick at my head at one point. That was crazy.
Just because he was homophobic?
Yeah, and there were just lots of moments like that, and lots of little moments where it was like, it wouldn't be enough to warrant like a telling off, but it was kind of just bubbling under the surface of everything that they said and kind of the way they acted around you.
So is that bullying, really?
I guess it is the same thing.
If someone's chucking a stick at your head, that definitely goes over to bullying.
Yeah, it's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid bullshit, that, isn't it? But yeah...
I mean, you seem quite blasé about it. It can't have been that nice. Like, some people would have crumbled and it had affected the mental health.
It wasn't.
But
I've been through the crumbling.
Okay.
You're post-crumble. Yeah.
That sounds like a genre.
Yeah.
Post-crumble.
Post-crumble.
But at the time...
also I think my experiences outside of school were worse, so comparatively it was alright. And then I really enjoyed the stuff I did in sixth form. I did a talk in front of my whole year, which was really good fun, and there were a couple moments in that where I had the floor, I had a mic, I could just stand there and be like, some of you guys suck, and I just had to sit there, which was funny.
That's quite a powerful thing, that though, isn't it?
Yeah, the talk and the societies, and like we changed the uniform to make it gender neutral and remove some of the awful sayings that were in there, and changed the safeguarding policies and things like that. And there was like a new PSHE curriculum. There's loads of stuff that got changed that made the school a better place, and I think that gave me like a real sense of purpose, and also was just enjoyable to do, having had experiences both in and out of the school that weren't great.
Let's pick up on the bad experiences out of school, if they were worse than that.
Oh, I mean, it's weird being in Brighton now, because obviously, like, being in Brighton, I've just become more gay, and then it's always surprising going home. I mean, the towns are sandwiched between Slough and High Wycombe, and like High Wycombe especially doesn't feel very safe, and it's the level of comfort I have walking around Brighton, going somewhere like that, is a real shocker. But it would be anything from, I mean, I've been beaten up a few times. I've had stuff called at me a lot.
Don't just say, how were you beaten up? How did that happen? The first time you were beaten up?
So I'm walking down at the side of a pub in like outskirts of London. I'm wearing a skirt, and I just had a night out, and was just walking back to the station or whatever, and I walked past, there's a couple guys stood outside, and one of them like shouts out to me, "What are you, a faggot?" And I responded, because I was like, and it was funny. I was like, "Why? Are you interested?" And yeah, he didn't find that funny, and he just kicked the shit out of me.
Like in the street?
Yeah.
And did anyone watch or see?
There was no one about, so it was just like, yeah, then just like got off the train and went home. I don't know how to talk about this stuff. It's like when I did that, when I tell that story in the talk that I did, the whole point of that was landing the joke. For me, landing the "what are you interested?" Yeah. And then afterwards it was great, because everyone laughed, and then I dropped the second bit, and there were like audible gasps. Yeah. And, like, air went out the room, and I was like, "You guys are surprised? I'm not. I saw it live."
Yeah.
Like,
so, like you are quite blasé about it, and is that just your way of dealing with something quite horrible, really? Like
Yeah. Well, because I spent a long time wallowing in it, and I spent a long time like you blame yourself, and even after I did the talk, there were people who like left the room saying, "Oh, well, they shouldn't have been wearing a skirt in public," and I'm like, that is not the takeaway you were meant to get.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought, I'm not going to wear a skirt, I don't need the hassle?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm like in Slough, if I'm going in Slough or High Wycombe, and even bit like quite a lot of London, you're not going to catch me in a skirt, because it's why put myself in that danger. But like I'll go through Reading in a skirt, which is...
It's quite weird that you have to select what you're wearing for each location.
Yeah. Good news is my
sad.
wardrobe is fantastic, so if I'm not wearing a skirt, I've got plenty else to choose. But yeah, like I spent a long time like going through the whole like blaming myself, like why did this happen? What was it? And I kind of got to a point where, at least with that sort of thing, especially moving to Brighton, that's really helped, because it just I've not had a single experience of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was moving to Brighton, obviously you were out and proud from where you lived, but was moving to Brighton like a freeing kind of, alright, I can finally be exactly who I want to be and wear what I want to wear and do what I want to do.
Yeah, because I like moved to Brighton and I met you like 2 days later, and I rocked up to meet you in like full makeup, headscarf, skirt, hot pink Crocs, none of it matched. It was like a hideous outfit, but I was like, fuck it, I can do that.
Yeah, and you were on your way to a drag show.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you up to? And you went, I'm on my way to a drag show. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks, yeah.
I'd say... I'd say there's just a lot less... I also think uni has done this as well, in that there's just people really don't give a shit, like, rocking up to lectures, what you look like. People show up looking like an absolute wreck, myself included. Yeah. And some people show up like glam, head to toe, runway look. I haven't become any, like, actually, like, more gay or, like, more camp or anything. I think I've just, like, been able to express that a little bit better. And also, my fashion sense is better than it was when I joined uni, and I think that's helped as well, because, like, I'm wearing stuff now that I, like, feel really good in, and that helps.
And does wearing the skirt or the flamboyant costume make you feel good about yourself?
Yeah. Providing it's flattering. But yeah, well, like being non-binary, there were days where... So I'm not actually non-binary, I'm gender fluid, which is like...
Right, let's just... So...
I can explain it. This was my talk.
When did you think... Right, so you started off bi just because you felt it was a little bit easier.
Yeah, I knew I was gay. Even
though you knew you were gay. So you came out as gay, and then you came out as non-binary, which means you don't want to be a boy or a girl.
Yeah, it's that I'm not, basically. It's that, like, my head... So the way the way it works is you've got, like, your sex, which is your physical, like, what you are, all the rest of it. And then you've got, like, your gender, which is basically, like, how your brain deals with that, and, like, how your brain actually feels. And I'd say that gender is more, like, an emotion or just a feeling. And it's a way of... defining yourself. And for me, I just don't fit into either of the kind of archetypes on either side. So I'm not super feminine, I'm not super masculine, and I don't really feel comfortable with either of those things. Kind of fluctuate. Some days I want to be more feminine, some days I want to be more masculine. But generally, because I'm kind of a bit all over the gaff with it, I sit in the middle.
And that's what non-binary is.
Well,
yeah.
So what's the difference between gender fluid and non-binary? Is non-binary...
So non-binary is like sat dead in the middle all the time, whereas gender fluid is like the changes depending on the day. But because I can't like go around updating people on my new pronouns every day, I'm just...
It's easy to say that. But you would be gender fluid, or you are gender fluid.
Yeah, I am. Put me in a bottle, mate.
So gender fluid. And does that mean that some days you'd quite like to have boobs?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's more downstairs, I guess. I never pee standing up because I don't like that.
I don't either.
I was going to say,
but I'm not gender fluid.
You're just lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking love a sit down.
Sit down. I have made most of my big life decisions with a sit down way.
Yeah.
Like picking uni and like sorting my life out.
Yeah.
It's the space.
Yeah, it's what you need.
So would you ever go to the point where you want to get bits chopped off or stuck on?
No.
Because some days you want to keep the bits you've got.
Yeah, because if I made that decision on Wednesday, I'd wake up Thursday and think, oh, Jesus Christ, what has gone on here then? You know, whereas, like, for the most part, it's quite, like, obviously being a guy, I've got a flat chest, which is quite easy to like, be gender, like, neutral or whatever with, because, like, I can wear women's clothes, I can wear men's, and there's no real issues there.
Yeah, I guess someone who's born a male, you have more ambiguity. You've got more to play with.
Yeah, in the top half at least.
Yes, because you can...
Well, not in the bottom half, you've got bulges.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
But I tend to wear, like, trousers or skirts, so you can't see that.
Yeah.
But if I'm walking around bulge out, something's gone wrong. Or something's gone incredibly right, depending on where I am.
Or you're just on a masculine day and you want to be a boy that day. Man.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, it's just, gender's just a way of expressing yourself. It's not actually a way of expressing yourself, it's connected to how you express yourself and how you want to see yourself and how you want to be seen.
So, does it matter what people see you as then? Because I don't really give a shit what people think about me, but you clearly do.
By your outfits, we can tell. But, yeah.
It's a fair point, well presented.
It says the man dressed as a Lego brick.
Yeah.
I don't, weirdly enough. I care a lot about how I look and how I see, but that's, like, for me. That's I dress for me. And if other people like it, that's great. And, like, thank you. But if not, I don't mind. It's more than, like, clothes. It's more than just how people see your outfit. It's like, well, I think you can pretty easily tell when someone is, like, somewhat non-binary. Like, I met Rue and the first thing I said to him was, you look so gender. Because they're just, and you can kind of tell there's always, like, a mixture of things going on with, like, the hair and the piercings, and it's all a bit...
So piercings, have you got non-binary style piercings or fluid gender piercings? Like what
again, I guess no. It's just they look a bit camp, but it is just it's not the norm for men to get loads of piercings. It's kind of becoming it, but it's not at the moment. It's not considered a masculine thing to do, and so I want to do that because then it's moving me a bit away from like the masculine archetypes. It's moving me a bit towards the middle. Like, same with some of my tattoos, same with how I dress, and then I kind of do the same on the other side because I'm also like not wearing stuff that is like typically feminine either. So it's like the stuff that I wear and how I act and dress and all that is kind of like the pointers and the signifiers of my gender and how I feel about myself.
I think you've got to be pretty switched on to get those pointers though.
Yes. Yeah, you're not going to... Well, that's why, like, whenever I meet someone, I ask them their pronouns off the bat. Because because gender is just a feeling, it's just how you feel about yourself. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. You could look incredibly femme and say that you're non-binary, and it's like, that's how you feel. You can't deny that from someone. Well,
and I also think, especially, and this is because I live in Brighton now, whenever I meet anyone new, I just say they, like, just out of... like default now, but that's because half of our group is they.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, I've tried to like drill that in.
All of them is gay, like all of gay. They
and no, but also probably gay.
Probably. Like it's a miracle you and Zach.
Ever feel the need you want to come out to me?
No, that's the running joke. Is everyone's like, so when are you coming out as bi? When are you coming out as bi? I'm like, I'm not.
Because you do have the bi fit.
Oh yeah, and I'm not.
So would you prefer to be called a she some days then?
Yeah, it's quite occasional that I go that far towards the femme side.
Is it most days it is just like
they? Most days it is around.
What's been your butchest day?
Oh, what's been your butchest day?
Every day.
How does it just sit down?
I empty the bins. I don't actually. Your mum does that.
What's been my butchest day?
That's such a crazy question.
I don't know. You don't really get butch days from me, do you?
But
I don't think I've been around for one of your butch days.
You see, the reason I say that is looking at you as someone that's not really clued into all this malarkey,
yeah.
I'd say you look
more feminine than masculine. Like you're
thank
over
you.
that line. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know whether that is a compliment or an insult.
No, it is, because this.
But it's
I would
the way
say
you
this
cross
is
your
more-
legs, the way
Oh yeah.
the way that you're quite and,
Yeah.
and you look quite pretty.
Thank you.
But is that a compliment only on certain days?
To be honest, another great thing about like being gender fluid is that I can just take compliments from all sides and all directions.
Mm-hmm.
I can just be like, "You're pretty, thank you. You're hot, thank you."
Yeah.
So I'm just.
But I can't see you being like really. That's why I'm like.
I used to. I mean, I had your look last year.
Yeah.
I did. Let me see.
And Archie had a big had a beard for a while.
Did you have a beard?
I had a beard. Yeah. I mean, I had a beard recently, actually. You
Because a
find some
beard
photos
is
of
definitely a
this.
masculine statement, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
We are now at uni. I'm assuming you picked Brighton because it's.
Yeah, I picked it without seeing the uni. I was like, growing up in a very conservative town, where like, depending on the outfit, walk into like Waitrose and go down an aisle and 3 old people have just passed out. It's like, whoa.
I
Whereas
love the
when it
fact
co-
it's Waitrose. Do they have an Aldi in where you live?
No, we have a Waitrose. If you're feeling cheap, you go to the bloody Sainsbury's and that is it. That is it. Do you want a monster? You've got to drive like 10 minutes to a corner, like a petrol station, because we don't have corner stores. It's one of them places.
And when did you know you wanted to do journalism? Because
I just kind of made that up.
after I learned,
I watched a movie called A Private War about Marie Colvin. So if you know a famous journalist, famous for having an eye patch, war journalist, incredible at her job. I mean, an absolute inspiration. I mean, the movie actually ends with her being killed doing journalism. So,
and you thought,
yes.
yeah,
That's for me.
But I saw that movie and there was just something about like what she was saying and how she felt about it and like needing to get these stories out because she is seeing such awful shit and people in such horrific circumstances, and the world needs to see that. The world needs to see that humanity is doing that to itself. And I just had a lot of respect for that, and then kind of I thought about it for a bit and I realised how much I talk about music. And then music journalism just felt like the right thing to do because I wasn't going to do music because I'm not talented.
Do you think you could get, like, because when you had that voice back at sixth form and you had, was that, rush?
Yeah.
I've got an audience.
Doing that talk was a rush. Not in general. There were times where I got a bit big-headed for sure. But... yeah, it was nice having an impact on something that I really cared about and something that just not only positively impacted me, but other people. Like when I did that talk, some of the messages I got afterwards were just fantastic. They were so lovely, and people would come up to me and you know thank me for doing like the stuff with the uniform and things like that. And I just thought it's amazing that I have been able to positively impact someone else's life by kind of just nattering on a bit. And that was fantastic.
but also through
that felt amazing.
you having difficult times in that school, wanting to change the uniform policy and do all these things so that these younger people
didn't have to go through that.
That's a really powerful thing.
Do you know what that is? It's an act of
It is an
kindness.
act of I was gonna say it. You got
Great mind.
Yes, guys. I guess that is the.
Because that you don't have to do that. You're doing that as extracurricular.
And also you're year 12, year 13, so you could have put up with it for another 2 years and it'll never be a problem for you.
I'm so fucking busy already.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
There were weeks where I didn't get a single break or lunch, and I missed lessons and like the games period, like the sports and stuff, all to be sat in meetings with stuff. I mean, there were points I did teacher training. I'd like trained teachers on stuff, and I was there like. I was like stood at the front of the class, and they all sat in their little chairs. I was like, how the turntables.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And so, since you've come to uni, are you involved in that kind of activism?
No. I came to because there were times when it was way too much. Like when I had some of those really long weeks, I did kind of get to the end of it and have like a complete meltdown.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, I'm coming to Brighton because I want to live in a place that's more accepting, and I'm coming to Brighton so that I don't have any work to do because someone's already done it.
Yeah.
You know, that's and so yeah, someone else's kind act has made
You're
lots of people
living from the
Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah.
So tell me about uni life then. How's it changed from that conservative?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like not actually, when I think about it, much has changed about me. It's just my like surroundings have changed and the people I spend time with have changed.
I guess also a big thing is like there's more of a community here of people who will understand you and what you've gone through.
Yeah, there's
Also,
way more people on Grindr.
Well, yes,
Which
it's
is
like,
like a good metric of it. Well, I went to a cousin's wedding out in like it's like Dorset or Somerset, it was like around there, and I like opened Grindr and it was like the nearest person like around my age was like 20 kilometers away. I was like, oh cool, I am the only gay in the village.
Yeah.
Like genuinely.
Yeah.
And that's always like eye opening, and I think you can also tell like if you open Grindr and you're in a like and everyone like isn't showing their face on their profile, you're like, oh there's a reason for that.
Just explain Grindr to me then. So this is an online app.
Yeah, it's like mainly for hookups.
And is this
I'll
for the men? Or
yeah,
is
it's
it
for the
everyone?
gays.
So it's the gay app.
Yeah, and you basically like you get like
it's like
I'll just
Tinder.
turn
You
off-
know Tinder.
Where you
Yeah.
swipe.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but basically you get some of these are like not super appropriate. I'm looking at this guy here.
Yeah.
But like you just get all the people there, and you look and just like scroll, and if you like look at them, you drop them a message, and you'll be like what you're looking for. At which point they'll either like say, you know, I want to go out on dates, which like rarely happens. More likely they'll just be like, I want to fuck, and I'm like, cool, so do I.
So you'll literally
Just there
pick
for fun.
someone,
Yeah.
pick someone, and then go round to their house.
Yeah. Well, welcome to mine.
You not even have a drink first, just crack on.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. It's like, yeah. I don't know. It's like more fun than having a wank, I guess.
And is it that accessible? Like,
Yeah.
9 o'clock in the morning, you could find.
Oh, 9
someone,
o'clock in the morning, you might struggle.
but maybe not in Brighton, but definitely.
Yeah, you could find someone in Brighton, but they wouldn't be your perfect type. Because if you wait till midday, everyone's logged on, and you're like, yeah, right, let's find someone.
And do you repeat, or is it always someone
Yeah,
different?
you can repeat. You get a lot of friends with benefits and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just.
And so is that like a
mainly just
typical
hookups, yeah.
Friday night? I'll just have a.
No, it's more when I'm bored. It's more if I'm doing something, then I'm doing something.
So you'd rather be out with your mates, but if you
Yeah.
have an option,
But if I'm spending a day lying about, especially if I've got the house to myself, I'll be like,
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, I've got a few hours to spare. I'd probably watch a bit of TV.
okay, it's different. It's like a different time because it's not TV time that gets taken up. It's like a separate thing.
But
Where I'm
also
like,
it's
if I'm home alone for like let's say 5 hours, if I watch then 2 hours of TV and then I get bored.
So you don't even need 5 hours. It's literally a 3-hour slot. What's the quickest?
5 hours.
Oh, 3 hours. 3 hours. You can be in and out in 20 minutes, half an hour.
So you've literally gone round and 20 minutes later,
Yeah, they're 5 minutes around the corner, and they're like, I don't know, come suck my dick. I'll like go do that, and then go home again.
Blimey.
But also,
Fun. I like. It's like
Well,
you enjoy sex. Sex is fun. Sex is cool. It's a good
Yeah.
thing. Might as well do it a bit more often.
Yeah. Well, and I guess especially in Brighton, there's more opportunity for that.
Yeah.
And if you've had something which has been all internalised, that you can finally be like, I'm just going to go around and have sex, and that's fine.
I spent year 7 to 13 in an all boys school where everyone was straight. It was a fucking nightmare. I need to get it out of my system.
And this is Brighton is the equivalent of an all boys school where everyone's gay.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's what it is.
Yeah,
this is
that's
the dream.
it.
That's mad. And so, like, what's the most in a day? Like, if you think,
Oh,
5
no,
minutes,
this
it's like,
this is a good question. Well, no, you see, because you can like do a threesome. But it would be 5 or 6 in a like.
That's
But that
impressive.
yeah, it is impressive. I'm
you know
quite
what?
proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that they're threesomes, so you're counting 2 at once there, so that's why you get.
Yeah, I
your
think that
higher
was just a
numbers.
big group. That one.
God, it sounds hard work.
The hard work is the like prep beforehand because I'm a bottom. I am generally like a lot of tops like bottoms to be like slightly more femme. So like it's like the full body shave and it's obviously like the downstairs prep, which I won't go into.
No, go into.
It's not that. It's just douching, but it's just like a weird little hour. It takes like an hour
to douche.
To do like the full body shave and all of that. But I'll do a full body shave like once a month.
Prep.
I'll do like a full body shave once a month, and I can get a douche knocked out in like 5-10 minutes.
And what's a douche?
So it's I still weird.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
This is nuts.
Nuts, dick, and balls.
Yeah.
So a douche is like, you can just do it with a water bottle if you're being brave. And it's actually not. So basically, it's to stop when you're doing anal. It's to stop accidents happening.
So if you needed a poo.
Because generally your body's very good at knowing when to do that and when not.
Yeah.
But like sometimes there might be like, if you after a shit, there might be some stuff left in there. And a douche is like a little thing that you stick up there, and it's just like warm salted water, and it just like cleans it out, sends it all
like
out.
Like an enema.
Yeah, similar. Yeah.
And so you have to do
the same thing.
They're
I think
probably,
that's a tube, isn't it? I mean, I've not had an enema, but.
Oh yeah, it might be. Yeah, whereas this is just a little goofy ass water bottle that you just go.
And where'd you buy one of them from?
Amazon, Amazon, Shein, like there'll be like 85 places in Brighton that do them.
Yeah.
They're
reusable
easy.
or are they single use?
If you clean them, they're reusable. Some of them are, some of them aren't, I guess.
I mean, it just sounds all. And what about? It's almost like it's like I'd go out night clubbing to have fun. You'd just pop and have a bit of sex.
Yeah, well, I'm not a massive clubbing person, so
it's just
sometimes
a different
I want to
social act, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the way it is for you. But
yeah.
what about like because there's another side of sex where you have feelings as well, and then I think sex is better when it involves feelings. But have you experienced that, or has it always been?
Oh no, I've had a lot of relationships and all of that, and it is a different thing. It's a different kind of sex. I actually tend to find that romantic sex can actually be like, if you want to experiment, if you want to do some like wacky stuff, you're gonna do that with like a hookup, because you can just be really upfront and say, I have these kinks and I want to do these ones today. Whereas when you get in a relationship, like you fall in love with the person, and so that stuff doesn't like come up until much later on, and there'll be some stuff that you don't want to do, there'll be some stuff that they don't want to do, and it's a whole different it's a whole different ball game. And it at the end of the day, it depends on the person. I've had some relationships where the sex has been like some of the best sex ever, but I've also had some hookups that have been better than a lot of the relationship sex that I've had, because they just know what they're fucking doing.
Because they're doing the 5 and 6 a day and getting the experience under the belt.
Yeah, it's like fruit.
Yeah.
It's like you 5 a day.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Oh man.
So, but what about like long term? This doesn't feel sustainable because I'm exhausted just listening to you.
But also, I think this is like between relationships when you wanna.
Yeah. You've got to be in the mood for it. I'll go like, I can randomly go just like a month where I don't have any sex, and that's not an issue. Because to me, sex just has too much meaning. As a society, we've given it, because it should hold meaning. It should hold meaning between the people in the room, the people that are doing it, and the love and respect and all of those things. But there's so much pressure and stuff on you should be having this much sex, you shouldn't be having that much sex, and there's so much like weight around that we put in society, like even at schools when you're doing sex ed, you're kind of drilled into it, and hookup culture is kind of frowned upon by a lot of different people. And to me, it's just a way of having fun. It's just like, in the same way that sometimes you're in the mood for like if you're watching a movie, sometimes you're in the mood for like the X genre of movie. It's like, I'm in the mood for this genre of fun. I'll just go and do that because I can. I don't think there's nothing really attached to it. And it's not that tiring. Like it's just because it's fun.
I suppose it's so accessible on your phone.
Yeah, the only thing that takes effort really is like douching beforehand. Because the full body shave I also do because I like that kind of feeds into my gender.
So have you ever been to a hookup where it hasn't gone to plan and you like?
Oh yeah.
Like what happens there? Because
I mean, there's I'm quite good now. There'll be times when like a guy shows up and he was like hot in his profile picture, but now he's got an awful beard and he's like put on weight and stuff, and he's like no longer my type, and I will just be straight up with him and say, look, dude, like this, I was expecting this, and I have not. If you were an ASOS order, this is the wrong outfit.
Yeah.
I need to send you back.
Yeah.
And have they gone?
Yeah, sometimes they're respectful, sometimes they'll like be mad at me. If they've like driven to me, I will be like, I'm really sorry, I will pay for your fuel. Like because I have inconvenienced you with this. You've also inconvenienced me.
Yeah.
But I've inconvenienced you more because you've travelled to me. And yeah, I've had a few arguments, but yeah, and then if I've gone to them, I'm like, I've wasted my time and my fuel, so you cannot be angry at me. I'm going home.
But has there been times like halfway through where you're like, oh, this isn't right?
Yeah, well, and there's times where like a lot of the time I can't be bothered to douche, so I'm like just kind of looking for fun that doesn't involve anal. And then there's a lot of times when like guys will just start doing that anyway, and that's not fun. And like I was on there very young, so I've had some pretty horrific experiences on there at the same time. But that's something that you kind of like. I wasn't being very safe on there at the time. You can kind of pretty much always see red flags coming from a mile away with Grindr at least. And like I'm now incredibly good at being safe with it, and I do tend to talk to people a little bit before I meet up with them and things like that, and I need to see exactly what they look like at the moment. And so I'm now incredibly safe, and I don't really get any bad experiences.
But even though you've had those bad experiences, it's not stopped you going back.
Yeah, I'm not going to let what someone else has done stop me doing what I'm going to do. Like that just doesn't feel like it's taken me time to recover from those things, and I've had to work through them, but I come out the other side and I'm like, that at the end of the day was not my fault. That's what the other person chose to do, and they're an awful person for that. But like, you know, there are like, so I've been beaten up, I still walk outside. It's like, yeah.
You need it like, you know, like Airbnb where you can rate your host.
Reviews on Grindr would be fucking
that
crazy,
an
and I think it would be awful. But I kind of want to see it. I want them to trial it for a week so I can see the chaos that would unfold.
Because you're literally walking in blind, aren't you, really? Well, with a picture.
Yeah, you're thinking like TripAdvisor. Like,
yeah. Rate
5 stars.
Rate this sex.
Yeah. Rate my penis.
Yeah. I don't know how they get that happening, but if
Pimp
you
my
want
ride.
to. So, in terms of like kindness, we have briefly mentioned.
Yeah.
But in terms of, have there been any examples of where people have been kind to you, or you've been kind to others?
There's one that always really sticks with me actually, because I knew roughly that I knew that question was going to come, so I was going to think on the way here. And the one that has always stuck out to me, the one that I kind of talk about, not very often because it's a very painful memory, but so I had what actually we'll say, so a guy had unconsensual sex with me, and I was not sober at all. I ended up, this was February 2020, so it was just before COVID. And I ended up just passed out on like a park bench, and I was not dressed to be passed out overnight on a park bench in February in the UK. And I was fucking freezing. And it was like 5:30, 6 a.m. and a woman was walking past me on her way to the train station, like on her way to work or whatever. She spotted me, I was like clearly in a state, and she just came over and gave me a coat and walked off, and I was like, that's yeah, she gave me a coat, pointed me to the like station, gave me a bit of money. I was like, don't even know her name, because I'd love to track her down and say thank you, but I can't, and at the same time I don't think she wasn't doing it for a thank you,
and that's lovely.
Yeah, and that's always stuck with me as like a wow, thank you.
It's incredible how those acts of kindness do stay with you though, doesn't it? It's
that will live with me forever. Yeah.
And she probably might not even remember doing it.
Yeah. And do you know what? You're 20 years old and you've had these periods of really bad stuff happen to you.
Raucous periods, yeah. And
it's like, do you think you're happy?
Yeah, I'm a very happy person at the moment. I still have moments. I've had a lot of stuff happened to me, to be honest. But I still have moments where that stuff really impacts me. I every now and then I will just have a day where I'm just like alone in bed, crying constantly, because it does still impact you. It's gonna stay with you forever. But I'm like very proud of myself in the way that I've been able to move forward from it, and like the life that I'm able to lead now, past all of that stuff.
Do you think it's riskier, like because you're on like Grindr and it is all like? Do you think
it is riskier? Yeah. Is
it like because I'm sure there's on Tinder there's people just going and having sex in a similar way, but do you think
absolutely
because it's men?
Yeah, men are always more dangerous. Like.
Do you think?
Like just like statistically, men are always. Men are pretty much always more dangerous. It's like I look at like the kind of there's always the misogynist answer of, oh, you need men to protect you, and it's like I need men to protect me from fellow men. If we remove men from the equation, we are absolutely balling.
Well, you wouldn't be able to have sex though, would you?
No, just keep the non-binary ones about.
Right.
Just keep the non-binary penises, because they're pretty much always alright.
Yeah, it's about the penis, not the man.
Yeah, that is pretty much.
New merch on that.
I love men. I don't like them. But yeah, being on Grindr and stuff like that, it is more risky. It's why I have to like take precautions, and I know exactly like, hello, sorry, fly. I know the precautions that I want to take. I know what to look out for. I know the signs, and we're also in an age now where those signs you can find them on the internet and know what to look for without having to go through the experiences that I did.
And where do you want to go in the future then? Like, is this for you? This lifestyle? You know, you're hitting your 30s and you.
It's whatever for me, really. I'm not like a huge like future planning person. Like obviously I'd love a career in journalism, but I was speaking to one of my co-workers at Primark the other day, and who's like been a sales assistant for like 10 years, and he said, look, I make enough money to have a roof over my head, I have food, I have enough money to do stuff that I want, and I'm completely content in that. I'm not looking to like bust my ass for career opportunities, but I'm happy as I am, and that really resonated with me as like a I don't know, I just don't I'm driven, but I don't want to ever pressure myself, if that makes sense, because that's just, to me, feels like needless stress. I'm going to get wherever I'm going anyway. And like, yeah, I'd like to like settle down with a guy and like, I don't really see myself getting married, but have like a long-term partner.
Kids?
Not at the moment, but the right guy could change my mind if he agreed to do all the gross stuff. But yeah, like I'm completely open. There's no. I'm 20. There's no point deciding whether or not I'm gonna have kids now. And if I'm 30 and I'm married with a kid, sick. If I'm 30 and I'm still having a good time doing hookups, I'm still having a good time. It's whatever makes me happy.
I think you've got a really good attitude to life, and I think you've actually worked really hard to get there. So
I'm just zen. I think it's like I could either the stuff that I've been through could either eat me alive or I just get on with it, and there has to be a level of acceptance. I think I have complete acceptance that I'm still going to struggle every now and again, and I know like the kind of best ways to deal with that. But yeah, it's just a level of acceptance of what's happened and what's going to happen, and just saying day to day, what can I do that's going to make me happy?
And I want to ask you a bunch of things now because this is the opportunity to.
Go on, do it.
Well, no, what I was going to say is you're a very confident person. Is that like, do you think that was an active choice you made when you were younger to be like, I need to be a confident, outgoing person because otherwise I'll be eaten up?
I mean, I'm quite autistic, so I think a lot of it was just very heavy masking because my parents are very much like you're always going to say please and thank you, this is how you shake your hand, this is how you answer the phone, and so, which was great because it's made me really good. Like I was on the tills at Primark the other day and the guy next to me just went, mate, you're built for tills. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you just know what to say, you know how to like keep the conversation going. I don't see anyone else asking, just, what have you been up to today? I was, making really easy conversation, and I do pride myself in being quite good at that. So yeah, I don't necessarily know if it was a conscious choice, but it's definitely something that I have to like work to do because I do get incredibly nervous, and I'm not always outgoing. I've spent a lot of time in my room kind of cooling down and recharging. But again, I would rather do that. I would rather like be that outgoing person because it makes me happy. I get to meet cool people randomly. You know, get good conversation going with someone like stood next to you at a gig and things like that. Where it's just I love stuff like that, and I would rather do that than kind of close myself off.
A choice again. It's like you're making a choice and then proactively working towards doing that. It's just a great way to be.
Thank you. Yeah. I never really think about it like that, or I don't really think about it too hard. I just kind of do it. I'm just like, I've done this for a while. It's working. I'm gonna keep doing it, and there's no real conscious like thought or effort. It's just what I'm up to.
What other questions have you got, Jonah?
I think I was the only one.
You said loads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the hangover kicking in?
No, if anything, it's slowly leaving.
Excellent. So we always kind of, at the end, we look at 3 ways. I've no idea what this is going to look like.
There's been such an all over the place conversation.
So,
good luck editing.
Yeah.
Yes, over to you, Jonah. So basically, we always do a summary of how we, as a society, could be kinder towards your communities. So I think there's definitely something there around your gender fluidity. How can we as a community enable you, make you feel comfortable?
I'm gonna go kind of a bit broader on that and say like the trans community, because it's a big thing at the moment. I think a lot of it, to me, comes down to leaving people the fuck alone, because it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And whatever, I think we should just support people in whatever makes them happy. Because people ask me a lot to explain pronouns and why should I use them, and like they say like they know it doesn't make grammatical sense. Shut up, yes it does. And then at the same time it's like, dude, it makes them feel better and it takes no effort from you. What's the issue? Whereas I see people and like a good example at the moment is like J.K. Rowling. Like I've watched her go from like this woman with like an incredible career and an incredible legacy to someone who just is online on Twitter constantly talking about trans people and nothing else. And I think you are ruining countless lives. I mean, like for example, when puberty blockers were stopped on the NHS, there's been 16 suicides of trans children linked to that. And I think not only are you so negatively impacting an entire community, but you look fucking miserable. Because you're just spending your time hating on a group of people and you don't even know why. Because like you can say you're doing it for like women's rights and feminism, but you're not, because you're retweeting full-on fascist Nazi accounts who are definitely not feminist. Yeah. And I think for the first one, I would say for the trans community and I think everyone, it's just about taking a step back and going, is it worth it, or do I just leave this person be and say you're having a good time and you're happy? And
I really liked it though when you said, actually, I can make you happy by using your correct pronouns. It is no effort to me.
Yeah.
So brilliant. We'll have that.
Yeah. Well, why not?
And if you don't know, ask.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Like it's so easy now to like that like small act of being like, oh, by the way, what are your pronouns, and then knowing.
Yeah.
It's instantly, yeah.
Also for the trans or non-binary person, being asked your pronouns is great, because you immediately know that you are safe around that person with who you are, which is fantastic. And all it was a question like, what is your name? You know.
What's number 2?
Number 2, a way to help communities. I say that the next one, because again it's become like quite a contentious issue following Me Too, is like for people who have been through sexual trauma, just listen to them, because at the end of the day you can argue about, oh, did this happen, was this exactly how it went, doesn't matter, because they feel that way, and like the people are always going about like the like false accusations. There are it's something like 1,000 times. I am like making this number up, but it's not far off the statistics that I've read. It's like 1,000 times less false accusations than there are rape convictions, and less than 1% of all rapists get convicted. So that number is minuscule. Why not just take the time to believe that person and
Have you ever
and
reported any of
help them
your...
out? No.
And why not?
Don't trust police.
You don't trust the police?
No, not at all. I mean, I look at them like my dad's boss, for example. Done incredibly well for himself. Runs a little movie studio. Drives an Aston Martin. He's a person of colour. Gets pulled over about once a week. Just because the police don't believe that a person of colour can drive an Aston Martin, or
But
that
do you
they
not
should.
think
And
like you've had that bad experience and someone else is gonna, unless you're gonna do something about it?
yeah, it's also about like. So like if I've been raped, the first thing I'm doing is going home and taking a massive fuck off shower, and that is suddenly evidence gone.
Yeah.
And then like those clothes, they're getting washed, evidence gone, and then all of a sudden it comes down to he said, she said about where I was. Like even if you could prove I was at the house, you can't prove what happened in the house, and suddenly it's really difficult. And at a certain point, do I just want to move on with my life, or do I want to spend 3 years arguing with this person
And reliving it every day.
Yeah, and dealing with a police force that still have massive amounts of homophobia in them and sexism, and like straight up loads of police officers are rapists. Like it's statistically in America 40% of all police officers are abusers. 40%. Why should I trust them when I could just move on with my life? But I would say when stuff like that happens, and when so many men just get away with it, when someone does have the courage, because it takes balls of fucking titanium to come out about it, I think the best way to help that community and show kindness is just to listen and do your best to understand, because even if nothing happens, even if that case gets thrown out because of like some lack of evidence in the way that I just described, where it's insanely hard to get that evidence, even then it's just about listening and trying to make that person feel a little bit better and help them get on with their lives.
And that's also true in just like any people don't
trauma,
always need help or advice. They just need someone to talk at, and that person to nod and be like, yeah, that's shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Advice is great, but a lot of times I think people jump to advice, whereas especially if it's like just happened, or it's the first you've heard about it.
How can we fix this problem?
Yeah. Whereas I'm like, I'm already working on that. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but I am probably trying to deal with this and going through steps to do that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I just need someone to listen, and if I want advice, then like sometimes unsolicited advice can be great. I'm not saying don't do that, but I think at the moment there is maybe more of a priority of advice over just listening, and I would say at the moment
just need to listen.
So
we've got number 2
and understand.
What's our third one?
What's our third one?
You never grill people this much usually.
I do.
Give me lots of money and food and alcohol. That would make me very happy.
Very happy.
Help this community with Archie. What would be a third one?
It could be something around this hookup culture, because to my generation it is strange. And it's not that I don't want to understand, but... And I guess growing up in Christian school, which you did also, this whole kind of culture of you marry for love, you have sex for love, it's so different to get your head around. But again, it's a case of...
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the thing with that again would be listening and understanding, and just taking a step back and saying your morals are not going to be the same as everyone else's, especially with like religion. Your religion tells you what to do, it doesn't tell me what to do. And if I'm having fun, I'm being safe, and I'm having a good time, accept that I'm having fun, And
where are your parents on this? Did they know much? They never listened to
my
this
dad,
episode?
my dad, actually, they won't be listening to this episode, I'm afraid. I actually spoke to, I don't, my mum doesn't know loads, actually, but I've had a couple of good conversations with my dad where he's, like, trying to wrap his head around the difference between, like, a top and a bottom, and I've, like...
I sat with
Oh yeah,
Archie
you were there. This was a fab conversation.
As Archie was trying to explain what a twink was.
What's a twink?
How do you not know what
a twink is? A typically young gay guy who's like very like clean shaven all over, typically a bit more femme, typically a bottom.
Why would I know what a twink is, Joe?
I don't know. I thought Martha or someone would have.
She probably has, yeah, fair. So, and why aren't you open and honest with your mum?
No reason in particular. I have less of those. I just have different conversations with the two of them. There are things that I talk to my mum about that I don't like. It's nothing more than I haven't got round to it yet. It's not come up. Because it's not like something that I walk through the door and go, "Hi, Mum, would you like to hear about my hookups?" You know.
I've got a triple today. Okay. So.
But yeah, it's just not. You know, I'm happy to talk about it when it comes up, but it's.
And so, what's this third one? I haven't got my third.
I've actually got two more on the top of my head. So with hookup culture, I would say it's about putting your morals and your feelings aside and accepting someone else's, that someone else's idea of fun might not be yours.
I like that.
And yeah, just again a bit of understanding. And the fourth one I actually wanted to mention, because again, very hot topic at the moment, is around journalism. Because at the moment, obviously, there is an endless amount of like fake news, and we're currently dealing with AI, which is just terrifying. I mean, I saw a thing the other day where they were like, we're using AI to animate album covers, and they animated the Nirvana Nevermind cover, and I looked at that and thought, what you have just done is animate a naked child using AI. Surely that isn't a good idea,
No.
guys. And I would say with all of that, and with like Israel-Palestine at the moment, where I'm watching, my Twitter feed is fucking dead children constantly, and it's not being reported, and it's saying that these children died. They didn't die, they were killed. And the way with that, and I would say at the moment it is incredibly important to watch our words and watch how we speak, because words carry so much meaning, more than I think we will ever properly understand. But the way a headline reads can flip a story like that so easily, where you know, you look at the subject and it's like whenever anyone talks about anything that Palestinians have done, they're brutalizing, and it's the horrors. And then I read about what Israel has done, and it's so nonchalant. It's so, you know, what was it? There was one the other day. It was a headline that said 42 children found not alive. What the fuck does that mean? They were killed. And that's it. They were.
So, but how can we as a community? Because I'm never going to write a journalistic. I suppose there might be
it's
some
about
people
holding, because journalism is there to hold people to account, but we need to hold journalists to account as well, especially with our media. The Green Party have 20,000 councillors in the UK, Reform of 14. And yet Nigel Farage is on the TV constantly, and the Green Party are not in half of the debates. That's not an accident. And then the BBC the same day will put out a piece about why is right-wingism rising in the UK and Europe. It's because you're platforming it. So
and I think is that though? Because like, what can I do there? I can listen. I can look at. Well, no, because you've just slated the BBC, isn't it? I could look at reliable sources, but actually you're saying the BBC...
It's about. I think at the moment we need to be very careful, and we need to read into stories. We need, you know, it's just, I would put it down to just, we need to pay extra attention, because we need to trust journalists, because we can't trust journalists. What the hell are we gonna do? We need to make sure that if I read a story somewhere, I'm gonna find that story in a couple other places to like get the right angle on it. You know, if, for example, they're referencing like a video, I'm going to go find the full video, not the clip that they have, and things like that. And I think an act of kindness right now, especially for people like Palestinians and people in the Congo, you know, there are multiple genocides happening at the moment, and I think a reasonably small thing that would make a big difference is taking the extra few minutes to do your own research and get your facts straight and make sure that the story that has been published is the right one, and if it hasn't, it's then even just tweeting at the journalist or dropping the publisher an email and just trying your best to hold people to account, because we're in an age of incredible accountability and we should apply that evenly across all places. And I think it's especially important in something like journalism, when the consequences of that can be as far-reaching as something like dead children.
Yeah, but
I don't know how you get that into like a fourth point of...
It's doing his job.
Well, no, I was about to say, it also comes back to what you said at the beginning, which is just like think about your words because they have impact. Yeah. And that's something in everyday life which everyone can do, is just like...
Yeah.
Think about what you're going to say and think about who you're saying it to, because the amount of times I can think of stuff which has impacted me, which people have said so flippantly and will never remember saying. It's like, just be a bit conscious, you know?
That's a fourth act of kindness that will help both the journalist community as a thing and help everyone who is being reported on, is watching your words and doing your best to watch other people's words, because not everyone is going to be good at doing that.
Like that.
Yeah.
We've got it.
Good.
I just want to leave one thought for you, Archie. I think you've got more that you're not doing at the moment that's going to come. Like, in terms of, you're so passionate about, like, when you look back at your school self and you had a bad experience and you did something about it that was really proactive. I think you're in a phase at the moment of learning and you're going to do something about it. And I think you're getting all the tools at the moment in that everything you're doing for fun. And then the degree you're doing, although it's a music one, you're getting all those skills around journalism. I think that's going to come together and you're going to go with something that will give you a lot of purpose. That's just a sense I've got.
That's a nice thought as well, because previously I've had those periods of real proactiveness and real productivity that have been born out of something bad. And if I'm currently at the point where I'm doing the learning and building up to that period of proactiveness and productivity, it's nice to know that it's not even bad.
Yeah.
At the moment, and I'm actually...
Something's good's going to come out of that.
Yeah, I'm being able to build up to that proactiveness through positivity, not negativity.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what happens there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
It just came to me, Jonah. It doesn't happen often.
I've had a dream.
It gave me goosebumps.
Did you see there was a beam of light that came through the window right onto you?
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Curious Chats and Kind Acts. It was lovely to have you. Can I just say a massive thank you to all the people that we've interviewed who have been so honest and vulnerable with me, so that we can have these real life stories to share with you, our wonderful listener. And remember, we'd love to hear what random or small acts of kindness you've been up to, so that we can maybe do a few. Find us on all the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our /ActsGB, that's ACTSGB. And drop a comment on our feed, tweet us, or even send a photo. Let's build our kindness community together. We'll read some of our favourites on future episodes of Curious Chats and Kind Acts. And you never know, we might even have a go at a few of your ideas ourselves. Watch this space on the socials. For more information about the Acts charity, including how to donate to us, head to actsonline.uk. See you next time!